Hey, um, welcome to Satish Speaks on Global Trade and Geopolitics. This is your host, Satish Kota. In this session, we are going to talk about the India and Maldives trade activities and how the relationship is building around it. And before I talk on this subject, can I request you to like, share, and subscribe to us, and also give us your comment on the subject. Now, there is already a lot of hue and cry between what's happening between India and Maldives, but I assume you've been listening to this from a variety of media channels, news channels, podcasts, and various other places. So I'll not talk about a lot about the crisis or what they say and what they are doing, but I would like to give you few facts and information that none of them are sharing. Now, now we always know that for Maldives, India is one of the largest tourism customers, right? So we, as per some of the media channels, we have always seen that we are about 12% of their tourists that they get, and eventually we also contribute to about $1 billion. And other than that, we also have been hearing from various places about how India has always been a friend, how it has been supporting them in terms of readiness, crisis, as well as from the infrastructure perspective. Now, what we have also not seen in any or heard from any other places is what is that India also contributes for their country's imports. Now, let's look at some of the aspects of what is that we are helping Maldives with. So first, let's start with import data analytics of Maldives. I am for analysis. I'm using the NavaTies platform. Now, if you look at what's happened with Maldives in the last year, Maldives has imported $3.5 billion worth of products from across the world, out of which India's contribution is about 485 million. That's almost $500 million, which forms about 13.59 percentage. So if you look at our tourism, which we say 12% of the tourism is from India, I say we have 13.5%, 14% of their imports is from India. Now let's look at which are the sectors from which they are doing their our imports, primary imports. Okay. Now I look at it as three sectors. We have the infrastructure sector, we have the food sector, and the pharmacy sector. They are the three primary spaces. Now first is the infrastructure. Let's look at the infrastructure, iron and steel. Now, Maldives imports $88 million worth of iron and steel, and from India, it's about 54.8. That's about $55 million, and that forms about 61.75 percentage. So that's a big market share. Second is plastering materials, lime and cement, again used for infrastructure activities. The Maldives import has been $108 million, whereas India's contribution to that is about 64 million dollars. That again is about 58% of the market share. Now, again, looking at the pharma sector, we are Maldives import is about $54 million, out of which India's market share is $27 million. That's about 49-50%. So, which means half of their imports of pharma is actually from India. So, and let's understand this. This is not just from the perspective of what India gives to them for free or as part of the trade and our engagement with them, but these are actual imports that's also happening with them. Next sector, we'll also look at the food sector. Okay. Now, when we say food sector, let's start with cereals. There $24 million of cereals imports happen from out of which India exports $19 million. That's about 77.5. It's actually 78% market share. Cereals means we are talking about rice and wheat. Then comes our wheat, glutens, malts, starches, bran, oats, corn flours, all those things. While Maldives imports $16 million, India's market share is $7.8 million. That's about 48.64% of their imports. Coming to sugar and sugar related products, chocolates, candies, and those kind of things, Maldives imports $11.5 million, and India's market share is about $4.85 million. Again, 42% of the market share. Vegetables. So vegetables, all Maldives imports is $71.5 million, whereas India's market share is $22.5 million. That's about 31.5%. So if you look at the market for all majority of their imports, India's contribution is always been high. Now, while this is the imports, let's also look at some of the exports for Maldives, right? Now, let's look at how Maldives and India's export scenario happens, which means Maldives exports to India, whereas we import from Maldives. Now, when we look at that scenario, okay, Maldives exports to the world is about $1.2 billion. Okay, and India's imports about $440 billion. Now, there's nothing to be alarmed. It's actually not. It does not look as much as that number. Why? Because one of the primary place where we import is this, which is aircraft, spacecraft, and parts. Which they being a country which is a small country, it's very less possibility that they are the ones who are manufacturing and exporting. Maybe they are in a scenario of redirecting or re-exporting from some other country. So if you neglect that $433 million dollars out of 440, then it comes down to $7 million. So which means if you look at any other segment, you don't see any numbers to India. It's almost zero zero and a small numbers. Okay. So, which means to say Maldives' actual exports to India is not that predominant compared to the imports that they do. Okay, so this is the important activity for our India and Maldives relations, trade relations. In terms of trade, there is nothing called as a zero sum game. It is always a um, a win-win situation, whereas we generate opportunities and they generate opportunities. So it's always we need to look at for Maldives. It is important for them to be engaged with India because they one of them their predominant imports is India. Their predominant tourists are from India, and engagement is from India, and all their crisis and engagement is from India. So we always see that this has to be built or turned into a better relationship than what it's actually there. So if you are looking for more information or analytics about this, you can visit NavaTies.com. NavaTies.com is a one-stop solutions for exporters or importers to explore the international markets. They provide you with all kinds of support and engagements. Once again, thank you for listening to this or seeing from wherever you are. And can I again request you to like, share, and subscribe, and also give us your comments. Your comments are very important to us to create better content and give you more stats and facts about the global trade that happens between India and the world. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.